What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So the bodybuilding fever, that is again at its all-time high with Prague Pro happening this weekend. And we have so many great storylines going into this show. So some great moments were captured at the athletes meeting a few hours ago. So all the eyes, they are on Samson Dauda, who many people think looked absolutely huge compared to what he looked like just at this past Mr. Olympia. And realistically speaking, Samson has the biggest margin in terms of improvements that he can make in this short time frame, just because he came in so downsized and he was very off for his own standards. So he can improve plenty and show up way better than how he looked at this past Mr. Olympia. Now the fans as well as the judges, they will be very delighted to see if Samson Dauda can bring back that same size or some of that old size that he normally has. Now, we cannot expect Samson to look the way he did at this year's Arnold, Ohio in terms of the size and how big the man is. As regaining all that size, all that muscle, that's going to take more time than just 2 weeks. But even then, the man will be bigger and way rounder and way fuller at this year's Prague Pro than his last show. And the good thing is that he looks very confident, and rightfully so. He's an Olympia champion, and on paper, he should win this show hands down. So you have got to appreciate some of the interactions between these top guys who are competing in Prague, like Samson Dauda meeting Michal Krizo. Now these two have battled against each other multiple times, but off stage, you can see how they respect each other so much. And Krizo also released some new physique updates where he looks very impressive. So the one thing that's guaranteed with Michal Krizo is that no one is touching Krizo in the arms department. I mean, the only guys who can match him in that aspect, they are the Mutant and Akeem Williams and possibly Hadi Chopin. And that is why he's gonna have the biggest guns in this show by quite some margin. And the great thing for Krizo is that he's already qualified for the Olympia next year. And on top of that, nobody's talking about him going into this show. So he will have zero pressure coming into this show. Before you scroll or blink too hard, have you subscribed yet? Please don't make me bring out the emotional blackmail. Hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon. It's free, it's painless, and that makes me look way cooler than I actually am. So apparently some people still do not understand that if an athlete is looking to peak perfectly for those 45 minutes on the stage, there is a time, like 3 or 2 days out, when he won't look as impressive as he normally does. So I'm referring to this 3 days out physique update from Martin Fitzwater, posted on Bodybuilders Without Borders IG page. And people in the comment section, they are kind of losing their cool because Martin looks a bit flat and he also has a bit of that abdominal distension. So these pictures were taken at night after a full day of carbs loading, and Martin is known for eating plenty of carbs to properly fill up. So you can imagine how much food there is in his system when these pictures were taken. So he claimed that this will be the best Martin that we have ever seen to date, which is something, if happens, that is gonna be so wild since Martin was near perfect at this past Olympia. So here is another sneak peek of Martin less than 2 days out from this year's Prague Pro, and you can clearly see that he's gonna be in a superb conditioning. And we have to keep in mind, he's the reigning Prague Pro champion, although the odds are kind of against him, because if he wasn't able to beat Samson Dauda at the Olympia this year, where Samson was clearly downsized and not at his best by any means, how will Martin be able to beat him when he comes in more fuller, more rounder, and much better than what we saw at the Olympia this year? Now, let's address the big news that everyone is talking about, and that is regarding the 3x212 Olympia champion, Keone Pearson, the biggest attraction of this bodybuilding weekend, as the fans have been waiting to see Keone make his men's open bodybuilding debut for this entire year, and that is finally gonna happen tomorrow. But unfortunately, the news that is being discussed everywhere right now, that is Keone parting ways with his coach Patrick and doing his own thing. Now some more pictures were released by Keone from the last training session that he just did, and he looks dry and very shredded. Definitely the best pictures released by any pro competing at this weekend. So one can totally understand why Keone and Patrick, they are no longer working together. Keone himself admitted that he was off, especially at the prejudging of this past Olympia. So if him and his wife, they can do their own thing this weekend, maybe that could turn out to be a great decision. But at this point, it's kind of too early to decide whether it will be a good call or not, because Keone and Patrick, they started working together back in 2021. So it was a very long partnership, and together they won 3 Olympia titles. But there is another argument to this topic, that an athlete like Keone, he's so gifted that he can coach himself and still dominate the 212 division for many years to come. Nevertheless, this will be a show to remember for Keone, and if anyone can shock us all, it's definitely Keone Pearson. So after what we saw from the young buck, Wan Pradells, at this past British Grand Prix, he can be a potential top 5 guy in this lineup too. So some of the coolest interactions that were captured on camera, they were Wan meeting with all these top guys, and you can see he was very happy as a competitor as well as a bodybuilding fan to be there, and he also released another physique update, looking big and very aesthetic. Now from the front, Wan was that perfect body on British Grand Prix, and he looked so sensational, amazing proportions, crazy aesthetics. So can he bring that same level of fullness, while also be a bit more detailed, a bit more conditioned, especially from the back? Well, we're gonna have to wait and see how it turns out for Wan. So talk about classic physique division with the battle between Terrence and Michal Daboul. Surely many of you guys remember that one of the first names that came out who wasn't able to make the weight cutoff at the Olympia this year on his first try. That was Michal Daboul. So apparently many of these athletes, they suffer from the rule change that their heights will be measured at every Mr. Olympia. So here Michal Daboul made the weight without any trouble. No last minute changes, no last minute sauna or any drastic weight reducing protocols, which means all the athletes, they will come prepared, not just for this upcoming show, but for the Olympia next year too. So Terrence also made the weight with quite some ease, so he's ready to present another great posing routine on the stage this weekend in Prague. So give me your final predictions. Who is taking home the Prague Pro title in the Men's Open? Also hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.